some egg and cheese and watch your favorite movie. This morning, I know it's hard to move, and every time you do it.
No, I just put it in, right?
Good Saturday morning. I am just checking in a few people. I see Carrie on. I'm wondering, Carrie, if you can help with that. If you're
Yes, that's what I'm doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't tell if it's me or you. That's the good news, I guess. When we don't know the difference between me and you. That's actually some of what we're going to be talking about this morning and practicing with once again. I just played a little tiny snip of really lovely a recent musical offering by Everywhere, a group called Everywhere. If you haven't heard of them, please look. They do some really beautiful stuff. Leslie sent it to me. And when I saw it, it was one of the things that actually was very consistent with what I wanted to be talking about today, which is exchanging self for other. And what that really means, all the way down to the idea of right intention, right understanding, right view. It is for me the essence of right view, which is the truth of the reality that until we can come to a place where we can and willingly do exchange self for other. We're going to talk about some fun ways in the everyday that we can do that. Until we can do that, this world, we are going to suffer. And consistent with those thoughts that I had about talk today and practice today, Jim then sent perfectly, as it always happens. I'm always so, the alignment of our interests and our perspectives. And I thought I'd read that in case there were those of you who couldn't see it. And I know some of you are not yet muted, so if you would just check your mutes, that would be helpful. But the first thing Jim sent this morning, well, Jim, maybe I'll ask you to read it since you sent it.
I think I can do that.
I would appreciate that.
Actually, it comes from the Buddha. How convenient that is. For one who clings, motion exists. But for one who does not cling, there is no motion. Where no motion is, there's stillness. Where stillness is, there is no craving. There is neither coming nor going. Where no coming or going is, there is no arising or passing away. There is neither this world nor a world beyond, nor a state beyond. This verily is the end of suffering.
And Jim and I hadn't chatted about that, but today, and I always, one of the ways that I make decisions about where the focus will be is about where I recognize and feel the collective. And so when I'm seeing things come my way, people send poetry, by the way, always feel free to do that because it's a very good chance I'll use it, particularly if it's representative of really where I can feel the whole Sangha is on that day. And of course, what I also recognize is that where I am is where the Sangha is, where you are is where we all are. It is why I had some confidence, having nothing to do with personal thoughts or wisdom at all. It's where I was very confident in saying this is not the time for a Zoom retreat, because I felt it. I felt it in others. Others felt it. Others, some communicated about it. Most did not communicate about it. Not talking about retreat is as good as celebrating time in retreat because we can pick up all of that. And that's our mindfulness practice, isn't it? Our mindfulness practice opens the lens wider than our own perspectives, our own preferences, our own bias, our own wants, our self. It opens us beyond this easily and with greater and greater consistency. And with that view, we'll call that right view, the truth of self and other, then I believe what comes naturally, and we've talked about this a couple weeks ago, what comes right from that view of exchange of self and other in all things. And so we have been living in a time of selfies. I don't think that's accidental. I don't think the word's accidental. I don't think the phenomenon is accidental. I think our division in this world currently, in our country currently, is the extremism of self and other, of God and not God, of right? And extremism is all of it is a form of clinging. This view or that, this way or that way, the other way, a different way. And we all know the truth, that until we can see the humanness, feel the truth of suffering, wish for the happiness and the well-being of all beings, including those who hold what appears to be, at least for a moment, this separate or other view, we will, as a community, as a country, as a world, we will suffer. And the good news is that there is a way to its end. And that is what I'm going to talk about today, called From Right View, Right Perspective. This truth of self and other will come right thought, and or another way to say that is right intention. This is a part of the Noble Eightfold Path, a beautiful, necessary instruction on the way to the end of suffering. And we're going to talk a little bit about right thought today with some funny shares, I hope, around where we notice right thought is, or wise thought, or skillful thought, or caring thought, loving thought. You can put whatever adjective you do almost in front of it, where it recognizing where it isn't is also a part of the path. So I'm going to check chat just for a second to make sure we're all okay. Can't see the whole page. Thank you for that. Let me see if there's any way I can fix that. I'll reduce the page and see if that helps at all. Let's see if that works better. I'm going to divide that only to make it smaller. I think we can now see it, though maybe not easily. I'm going to go back today in this idea of exchanging, or maybe we could even say in modern times, expanding beyond self to include other, beyond self to include other. And this is a beautiful time for this practice because, of course, we're establishing a lot of otherness, aren't we? Politic otherness, color otherness, ethnicity, culture otherness. That country is the problem. This country is the problem. The we-ness has been fragmented and frayed. Our humanness has been forgotten for these small and ultimately insignificant, superficial realities. Not that they don't count, but they don't count as big as the other, the truth first, grounded deeply in the truth of our otherness. Fancy pants Zoomer. I love that. Nothing like a good chuckle as we begin. Would anybody like to read the Bodhisattva prayer and then the little statement at the bottom? Let's get somebody else up here for that. Come on, just jump on and give it a go.
I'll do it. See here, I just got to enlarge it here.
Okay, however it can work for you. Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. So, may I become at all times, both now and forever, a protector for those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all in need. We have much to gain now and nothing to lose. Nothing at all, and the world, with you as the stable center, has nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Good to hear your voice.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Diana. It's so lovely to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you. This is that self and other stuff. We are better in unity. We are better in connection. We are better in wholeness. We are better in oneness. We are lessened, weakened, and we are at this time, aren't we, weakened for certain by our separation. And so we will practice towards the reunifying of self and other, beginning with this practice this morning. I'm going to end, stop the share, and everybody prepare for sitting. I've promised to check for recording. We're good. And so we establish ourselves in an upright and dignified posture. It is not self-dignity. So you don't have to get confused about that or worried that you don't have it. You do have it. You have it by virtue of being gifted this precious human life. Already perfect, already a gift, already precious. already completely interconnected. And there is only one thing that can separate us. And we are vastly caught in it right now. And that is what? Fear. And so we breathe in, fill the lungs, fill the body, breathe out that fear. And taking a few more deep breaths on your own. Create a little space and room around that beautiful heart. And see if we can't, on the out breath, come to rest within it. Come to rest within this vast, boundless, human, awakened heart mind. The only species that we know for sure has the ability to know that we have it. Finding the way into the body. This first foundation of mindfulness. Breathing all the way down and touching into the feet, which touch the earth, which come from the earth, which is the earth. Feel the connection. The solid ground of being alive, of being human, of being connected and interconnected. Feel it right there in your feet. These alive, present feet, rooting us, grounding us. And then moving up into the legs, the stable base, the offering of action right in the truth of stillness, the strength of the legs. Feel them. Breathe into them, breathe out from them. Knowing the legs, and then up into the hips. And we use these hips for the seat, a place in which to settle, to rest, to dwell, to establish a brightness and stillness. We relax into the hips, the legs, the feet. And then breathing at the base of the spine with the in-breath, the inspiration of this precious human life. We breathe up the back, the small, the mid, the upper back. And we grow bigger, taller, closer to the heavens. We let the top of the head touch the sky. Know we are a part of this boundlessness, this spaciousness. We remember. We are inspired by the stillness and by the space that we are beginning to remember. Just from a few moments of quieting and stilling the body. Isn't it amazing, really? A couple of breaths later, we remember. We create the open space for the awakened heart mind. And then we invite it back into the body, right through the front of the body, pouring this vastness, this luminous wisdom, this quality of stillness and silence. We pour it back in like a beautiful vase being poured into. We pour in this awakened heart mind right through the front of the body, touching into the forehead, the cheeks, the jaw, the whole face. Awakening. Radiant. The throat, the neck, open, relaxed. The shoulders, the arms, the hands, enlivened. You can feel the pulse of life right there in those hands. And dropping into the breastscape, into the base, home base, the chest, the diaphragm, the heart, the belly, and the breath. And we hold a gentle, light, and open lens. We don't zoom in, we don't try to demand. Can we be in awe? This present moment, right here, alive, like this. We take that awe and we form it into aspirations. We renounce harm. This is good. We commit ourselves again and again, over again, forever again, to contributing to the good, to the benefit, to the welfare, to be of service. And as we are inclining this mind, this heart, towards the good, we open it beyond our own interests, beyond our own politic, beyond our own preferences. We open it to the greatest good, which is the good for all humankind, the good for the earth. We radiate this aspiration right from our own good hearts out. And in the stillness and in the silence, we sit. Knowing that this practice will be of benefit to all beings, everywhere, without exception, omitting none, until all are free and awakened. And finding that ground pull, that place to rest and dwell within this body, within this breathscape. Anchoring these lofty aspirations to the reality of this human life, this human being right here. And we hold this in our heart minds. We're not worried about the breath. We're not thinking about the breath. We're holding the aspirations and breathing them, immersing in them, soaking in them. Without this essential ethic, there is nowhere to go. There is no concentration that is sufficient. Let go of the breath and come back to the aspiration. Touch in again, breathe that. Be that. And then we open to include the breath. If you can't make contact with that radiant heart, there is nowhere to rest the mind. It will be claustrophobic and crowded, self-condemning, bitchy. You know it because you can feel it when it's happening. It's a contraction, a pinch, and it is not to judge it. It is not to condemn it. It is to simply know we have lost our way. And then we open back with goodwill, with friendliness, with non-judgment, with genuine care. We open back into the radiant heart mind, the one that remembers the preciousness of this human life, the truth of impermanence and interconnection, the consequence of our thoughts, words, and deeds. The truth of suffering through self-clinging. We let go, we breathe out. We begin again. We can breathe into the radiant heart and settle it, dwelling within, somewhere in the belly, grounding. We touch into our aspirations and we immerse ourselves, moving beyond the heart, throughout the body. And see if we can't settle, or let's say first marry the aspiration and the breath, and then settle the breath somewhere within that breathscape. It isn't that it's stuck there, it's not limited there, it's radiating from there. It has infinite warmth, infinite spaciousness, infinite light. Just like that awe, it only opens. And if you're asking the question, what should I be doing? The answer is definitively nothing. Just soaking in that awe, soaking in that aspiration, letting the breath ground us, settle us right in it. The less we try, the closer we come. It is a joyful space, an awakened space. It invites us in. It invites us here to the present moment where there is complete energy, complete inspiration, and calm. Stability and groundedness. We must drink from the well of our own auspicious being, this very Buddha being sitting here. And then we begin to notice as we begin to rest and then open that there is no left or right. There is up or down. There is only this precious present moment awareness. So wide, it holds the sky. This is the nature of our own Bodhisattva hearts. No fear, no self, no suffering. Enjoy the view. And from this wise understanding naturally arises right intention and right thought. And so whatever we recognize, whatever we see, whatever comes into the field of awareness is included, allowed, accepted, invited in. Nothing is external, nothing is separate, nothing is rejected, pushed away. From the seat of nobility and stability, from this vast, wide, boundless, and open heart, we can hold everything. And so we can, with this very radiance, this very warmth, this very love, this joy, this awe, this presence, we can turn towards, for just a moment of meing, a moment of selfing. You can recollect it now. You won't have to look far. And call this moment to mind as deeply as you can. It might be something you said, something you thought, maybe something you did. But clearly a moment of fear, a moment of vulnerability, a moment of humanness, a moment of separation or disconnect. A moment of meanness rather than a moment of we-ness. And remember, without furthering harm, without judgments, without this, there I went again, I did it again, I said it again. I don't play that record, it's old, out of date. And for me, it was something I said, half kiddingly, by the way. I'm very clever. But the frustration was there. The sense of me and other was there. And rather than condemn for the words, the thoughts, I'm seeing if I can just go a little deeper. What was really happening for me? What fear was there? What trepidation? What sense of aloneness, of tiredness? What vulnerability was alive there? I was scared. And see if you can make contact with the tenderness that resides just beneath that thought, those actions, that speech. See if you can connect with the tenderness that is fear, vulnerability there. See if you can touch into it with your breath, touching into that tender heart. And as you're breathing in, see if you can feel for yourself. See if you can allow that fear without being overwhelmed by it, because in awareness, in this awe, in this openness, we can hold everything, including that fear, that worry, that anger, that guilt, that despair, whatever it is. And we can grow those loving arms, that loving space all around it, holding it in the embrace of loving presence and awareness, like you would hold a lost child. And breathe in, make room. Recognizing this as a moment of humanness. Simply creating space, making room, and allowing it to be exactly as it is, based on this feeling, this physical body. It might be a pinch, a tightness, a block, a numbness, a grip. Surrounded with this loving presence. Hold it close. And then we remember this is a part of the human experience. Others, just like me, are feeling this too, right now. The others on this Zoom call, the others in this household, the others on my block, the others in my family, the others in my area, the state, this country. All these others, part of this human experience, feel this too. And with a willingness, with compassion, we acknowledge the truth of this difficulty, this suffering, this pain, and we breathe it in. We don't turn away. We don't get busy. We don't look for something else to do. We stay right here, open, vulnerable, achy, and we breathe. We breathe it right into that radiant, boundless, enlightened, awakened heart. And we settle the body and make it bigger and softer. And then we do it again. We turn this me moment into a we moment. We remember, oh, right. This is this being human. Me and all these 7 billion others feeling this too. Fears about enoughness or not enoughness, fears about the me, the we, not knowing which way to turn, feeling groundless, forgetting that we are boundless, thinking we should do something. when nothing is required. Just this. Always begin here. This is right thought, right intention. We remember not just me, but including me and these 7 billion plus others, feeling this fear, this confusion, this worry, this doubt. And as we breathe it in and touch into this radiant, enlightened, awakened heart mind, we smile. And with that smile, everything, the skies open. And we send out light, we send out medicines, we send out food. We send out warmth in the cold and coolness in the heat. We send ourselves and everything we possess towards the end of the suffering. And we can feel the release and the relief as the grip is released, as it's breathed out, as it's opened, as it's allowed. We surrender into the boundlessness. Nothing to hold. No more selfies, just a world spinning round. Within that stillness. And then the thoughts of renunciation seem futile and unnecessary. There's nothing to stop because there is no cruelty. There is no ill will. There is no anger. There is only the openness. There is no harm. There is only connection. Only the divine source, the goodness, the godliness, whatever you call it. We rest in this and offer it everywhere. And as the body is softened, as the mind is cleared, the heart simply opens. Others just like me feel this too. This inspiration, this boundlessness, this interconnection, this non-reactivity, non-aggression, non-clinging. Call it what you will. We can call it love and compassion. We can call it kindness and care. And then we can bring this very quality, these right thoughts with right intention, we can bring them to a moment of difficulty with another. confusion, conflict, a disconnect, all based on that fear. And we can breathe in directly for them. Exchanging self for other. We breathe in their pain, their confusion, their fear. We become more porous, more penetrable. We dissolve the barriers, the boundaries more and more with each breath. We remember, just like you, I feel this too. And we get wider and deeper and bigger and hold it for us both. And breathe it in. And sending out goodwill, friendliness, inseparability, complete connection, love and compassion. Trust your own good heart. Let it send whatever it has. Breathe it out. And then the ideas of harm or aggression, reactivity or contraction become impossible. If we are beginning with the truth of me just like you and you just like me, there's no way to separate. There's no way to cling to an idea of you that separates us. We simply breathe in and out for us all. May we all be happy. May we all have ease. May we all be safe and protected. May we all be free from affliction. May we remember the we-ness of who we really are. We find the middle way. No left or right, no up or down. Where we all live. Where there's room and warmth and loving presence. And when you're ready, just coming back to the body, back to the breath, back to that enlivened, embodied, and awakened heart. We rest here. Nothing to give away, nothing to keep. And we smile and are glad for this precious human life. May we all be well. And all manner of things be well. Taking your time, let's just open up the body a little bit, dropping the right ear to the right shoulder, stretching, opening the chest, drawing the shoulder blades together, looking up, finding some ways to begin to expand our mindfulness and our heartfulness. Looking to the left, looking to the right. I'm going to look for a little bit of a note that I took. See if I can find a way to share that. Okay, I think I got it. So somebody let me know, again, I don't know if you'll see the whole document. Looks like maybe not. Right. It starts with our thoughts there. And again, if you can't see it, it's just a little bit of a note. I can make it available. Let me check. Not all. Yeah, I'll just refresh. I think it's a little bit big. Thank you. So I want to talk just for another moment. I think I just, by accident, got rid of that. I apologize. Let's try again. There we go. So remember, we started a little bit of the conversation today on right view, right understanding, the first in the Noble Eightfold Path, which means if you don't already understand and take the view, and the way I have summarized this over the years is that all view is wrong view. It's a little bit of a joke for me. But what I really mean by that is any view that you take, left or right, a politic, a religion, a preference, is limited or some narrowing of the whole. Some narrowing of the whole. And our favorite view, I would say our most habitual view then is I, me, or mine. The most limiting, most dangerous, the view that causes the greatest suffering is the view of I, me, or mine. And we know the truth of this. And we probably just experienced it a little bit, right? That every time I contract into my situation, my pain, my circumstance, my lousy, my great, whatever that is, it is guaranteed to be the cause of suffering. And so even when we talk now, of course, in our postmodern time, when we talk about things like self-esteem, self-understanding, self-awareness, really, we have a fairly strong misunderstanding of that because that selfing can actually separate, contract, and create barrier and boundary. We are completely lost currently in a time of self-extremism, we could call it. It doesn't matter what your perspective, you're just pretty sure it's right. It doesn't matter what your flavor, it's the one everybody should have. And we have moved really, unfortunately, I think, into more meing, more selfing, more self-celebrating, cherishing, preoccupation than I think ever before in the history of time. And I don't think it's accidental. I think we had to try for it. Like, what happens if you get the house you want, the car you want, the partner you want, the yard you want? What if you have the perfect kids, they go to the perfect school and sit in a perfect garden? Does it make everything better? And we have the answer. We're not confused. The answer is no. It doesn't mean they're not pleasant or to be enjoyed, but it means this will not be the end of our human dilemma and our human vulnerability. And so we're all working with that in our way. And so right view, that any view has its limitation, particularly the view of me, mine, and I, we begin then to construct or practice with right thought. And I thought we'd talk a little bit about right intention and right thought. The way I have simplified it, and by the way, this is dramatically simple. There's lots written about all of this. I'm just going to use what I think are cliff notes, essentially, about this. What I know, and I can only speak from that, is that our thoughts, with our thoughts, we make the world, right? That's one of the understandings in these traditions. With our thoughts, we make the world. And so then how we think, what we think, actually sets us in motion. And we could call that karma, we could call that consequence, we could call that the law of cause and effect. But the truth is, with our thoughts, we make the world. And so being careful, paying attention for thoughts, being heedful, being mindful, this becomes our charge. And so that's what we're doing here, right? That's what we're practicing here. And from our thoughts, what we know from that view, then those thoughts, what we think, speak, right, is our extensions of that. And so paying very close attention to getting it right from the start, watching the tendency to establish limited view, me, mine, or I, that's the right way, rather than opening to include perspectives and holding each other in it, we begin to separate. And also over celebrate, by the way, our own perspective and our own view. We have also noticed that we can get caught there, can't we? We cannot be skillful if we do not include self and other, or the exchange of self and other in our right thought, in our right intention, which is what we've been practicing these last many months. Jim had already read something at the beginning of our talk today about this idea that all self-clinging, all meing, all self-craving, self-cherishing is the collapse of right view and then right thought. But the good news is, by recognizing it, by then a few small steps I'm going to talk about now, we can begin to move from that me back into the larger open space of interconnection and we, right? So I'm just going to stop there. I think everybody's probably with me so far. If you don't get this completely, don't worry. I think we'll make it a little bit clearer. We are, yes, a very greedy world, Dennis. That's the least of it. It's also a very aggressive world from that greed. That's exactly right. But the good news is what? As we are open, as we rest in goodwill, as we commit ourselves to the exchange of self and other, we are changing the world. We are changing the world. This is the good news. And so in the Buddhist cosmology, this isn't a belief system. We actually kind of know this in the neuroscience. We've got some backup on this now. What we know is that the very first part of the work then is recognizing that contractedness, that self-clinging, that me-ness, mine-ness, and rather than condemn, criticize, create another narrative of self, this is dangerous, called now I'm a shithead, now I'm stupid, now I failed. Now that's just as much self-clinging, folks. I know it's hard to imagine, but it's true. Rather than that self story, we can say, wait a minute, the recognizing is good. In every moment I recognize that I have contracted mind, body, or heart is a moment of awakening, a moment of liberation, a moment of freedom. And I can then, with momentum, act. This is called in the Buddhist cosmology, renunciation. I'm just going to call it stopping harm. That works for me. We're just going to stop doing it the same old way that we know leads to suffering. Lisa gave an example last week where she said, rather than continue in my habit for saying whatever she was going to be saying to her beloved, she decided to do nothing. Well, this is often one of the very first and best ways that we can stop harm. And in fact, we talked about a small act, didn't we, last week? What would be one small act we could do? Well, in the Buddhist cosmology, it says the very first one you can do is pause, which actually means stopping harm. We can pause, which is actually stopping harm. And so that is the essence of renunciation. It says, if you can recognize that harm is being caused, and actually, rather than further it by now either turning the gun on yourself, turning it on someone else, getting it into a bigger war with a cannon or a nuclear war, you could simply pause and stop the harm. And I am encouraged by this. In fact, I would say it's becoming one of my greater skills. Can I just pause and stop the harm? And the answer is no, not always. And yes, more. All true. Not always, and yes, more. And then from renunciation, the next possibility in right thought or right intention is, can I then offer, out of this deeper, greater view and understanding of self and other, can I offer something to the good? And in the cosmology, it's called goodwill, friendliness, metta, loving kindness, kindness in every form. Can I pause, stop the self-clinging, stop the harm, stop the meing, stop the separating self or other, and then when ready, and stopping will be necessary as long as the practice is required, this is good and enough, you're already furthering the good, can I then make an offer of goodwill? What might that be? Well, the pause itself. We're going to start right there. The pause itself, an act of goodwill. Could I then remember me like you? Could I remember all views are limited? Could I remember, rather than establish myself in my perspective, can I find the truth of our common humanity here? Can I speak to that before I go, but not like you, I'm like this, you are wrong, we've got to go, right? That we offer some act of goodwill would be a second, but not first offering. Why am I talking? Thank you very much, Ryan. I just checked in on the chat and Ryan's got here, wait, why am I talking? And yes, it's precious and should be on every, not only our t-shirts, but our foreheads, so that we could, right, help each other in this recognition. So thank you, I love that. That sounds like a new EMC t-shirt to me. I agree. So we've got this idea that the pause is good enough. It is already good enough. And then from the pause, from the coming back, from the opening into the present moment, from the awakening heart mind, we can then potentially see what else might be offered that would come from that awakened good heart in an action, from a thought, from a word of goodwill, right? This is the second step. We say in the threefold purity, the aspirations, may I stop the harm, may I contribute to the good, that's this one. And then the third, in the package of right thought or intention, may I offer myself in exchange for an other. This is the only way, by the way, towards compassion. If you cannot feel for and with the other by virtue of knowing the truth of your own suffering, this is the turning towards the truth of suffering, we cannot hope to create a unified world, right? We have to be willing to turn towards the difficulty, to turn towards the confusion, to turn towards the habits, both our own and others, with the truth that we know this too. And then in the offering, in the holding of compassion, establishing right thought or right intention. I then just offered this. The initial level of right thought or intention is that stopping, renunciation. We've already talked about that. One of the habits I notice with renunciation is this idea of getting rid of. And I want us to be careful because that's too late. By the time we recognize our own contraction, our own aggression, our own reactivity, it's too late to get rid of it. And in fact, it's not necessary. by recognition itself, the very next most mindful thing to do is that wait. Thank you, Ryan. Stop, pause, hesitate. That's heedful. And then to make a conscious decision for how to open back up. Or I wrote here as just a simplification, how to replace that thought, why me? That thought, how come I have to? Why am I always the one that's got to do the blah, blah? That we can replace that with a simple thought of renunciation. I will not further harm. The one thought I have offered for you is, may I use this too towards the end of suffering? Even this me thought in its recognition, how do I offer this to the end of suffering, right? These are all considered replacements. We're not going to further the storyline of me and self-clinging. We're not going to further the storyline of the other in their badness, wrongness, or deficiency. We're actually going to stop, pause, open to include, wait a minute, how do I use even this? Oh, the fact that I recognize that this is good. I'm just going to breathe for this moment, remembering that others just like me feel this too, and that I can use even this towards the end of suffering for myself and the one in front of me, or then all beings, if that feels possible for you. But that replacement level comes after the pause. It's not possible beforehand, and there is no getting rid of. So don't waste your time there. What's happened has happened. How do we use it now? And then we make an offer of goodwill. And that's just what I said. How do I use this? Can it be of benefit? Let me at least clean up this moment of habit with recognition. And we think of all of that as a friendliness, as an offering. And it all counts and matters. The highest level, that's a really bad word. That came from another text. But I want to watch that. These aren't hierarchical, really. Is that we act consistently from these wholesome states of heart mind, that with consistency we recognize, with consistency we pause, with some consistency we cultivate goodwill, with some consistency we can begin to exchange self for other, and that is the Brahma Vihara of equanimity and compassion, both. They're both in evidence there. Then I saw this, something about this. The giving up of self-comforts adopts a life commitment of we, not just me. And I want to be careful about comforts. It doesn't mean that you can't enjoy. It doesn't mean you can't be safe. It doesn't mean you have to risk everything. It does mean that our habits for self-clinging must also be recognized. We barely can tolerate a hangnail. We have so much grasp for comfort. If we're too hot, or we're too cold, or it didn't go our way, we can become fairly not only self-indulgent, but self-righteous and entitled in that process. We have to be watchful of our cultural habit, and we've got it. So we have to claim the disease for the intolerance we have for the truth of the whole of this human life, which includes some things I'm going to like and some things I'm not.
Okay,
Gonna.
let's go.
I'm hearing someone. Is someone trying to say something?
No, sorry.
No, that's okay. I think that was Leanne. Hi, Leanne. That's probably
Yeah.
puppy chat.
Apologize.
Puppy cat, no problem. And so I want us to just recognize all of these ways. Right intention and thought includes them all. If you are not capable of one, you are capable of the other, because the moment you recognize harshness, aggression, reactivity, contractedness, we can invite that small action called the pause. And please offer that to yourself first, because there's no possibility for the others without that. We have to create space. And from that spaciousness, as Jim read, from that stillness, from that silence, we can see what we might call the biggest view, the widest view, the most inclusive and comprehensive view. And I trust that whatever you do from there truly will be a contribution to the end of suffering, yours and others. And one of the things that I was taught long ago, no self equals no suffering. And I want to be careful about the word no. It doesn't mean you have to, non-self is really the better understanding, which we don't simply hold to the view of me, and eliminate the reality, the truth, that we are interconnected, and without opening to include others in our wishes, in our actions, in our thoughts, and in our deeds, we will continue, certainly, to suffer. And we're all looking for the end of that, aren't we? I'm sure we are. Any thoughts about this? Let me know. Small actions. I want that to, as best we can, let that be the pause. And then at least the thought of goodwill. I know this is human, and others know this too. And that we begin to invite these slogans. We just reviewed 59 of them. However we can get to those, our own and those written, to invite, what do I do now, rather than my habits of condemning self or condemning another. They are equal in their suffering. So let me know what you know about that. You can chat or just come online and say what you know about this. Ed, thank you. Anyone? I guess I'll
Hi,
give.
Diana.
Oh,
Hi,
good.
Diana.
Hey,
It's
thank
Ryan.
you.
Hey, I just felt like I wanted to say something. Thank you for, there's such a wealth of opportunities this morning that you shared with us. So I always feel so grateful. So thank you so much for all that. Also recognizing my urge to always want to say something.
I'm thrilled to have you say it, Ryan. Please do.
It's interesting. I had a teaching that kind of aligned exactly with what you were saying yesterday. I was listening to a conversation that Sam Harris was having with James Dottie, I believe. He's a neurosurgeon. And he was talking about his childhood and how, you know, it was very traumatic. And it almost seemed word for word of my childhood. And I was texting out to a friend about my childhood, and I noticed in that moment that I was doing the me making, and I actually had to retract my text to my friend and said, you know, basically the sum of it was, in reality, this is a lot of people experience as a child. It was cool. It was kind of a small win for me in the sense of recognizing to kind of step out of maybe the victimhood or the pity party trap that I could have fell into, because for many years I was doing that. And I feel like becoming more mindful and becoming part of the Sangha has made me realize that I can relinquish some of those old stories that really aren't serving me anymore.
That's right. You are not that. You are not that. You are the one that can recognize the pains, right? Though it's okay to say it was true. We've all had painful experiences. We've all had abandonment. We've all had neglect. We've all had harm of a variety of sorts. It's a part of our humanness. And when we remember that, me just like you just like me, we don't have to separate ourselves with that truth anymore. And we don't have to apologize, do we? We say, yes, the truth of this. With often people who in no way intended the harm, but out of their own unskillfulness, out of their own pains, right? Out of their own deficiencies, out of their own character flaws. Harm is, but our work is not to be lost in that identity, right? It's to say, but wait, I, in this moment, can remember that I am more. And the pause, the how do I just recognize this truth of this human endeavor, this experience we're all in, and then how do I make an offering, whatever that is, from it. And it may be silent. And I want us to take, understand that they all matter, even the ones where you didn't end world hunger, where you didn't solve cancer, you didn't this is again a meing quality. If I can't do it big, don't do it at all is a really a horrible statement, and it's one of our monikers, isn't it? If you don't do it completely, don't do it at all. This is ridiculous. Yes, do it when it's totally tiny. Do one drop. As my teacher said, one drop of dye in the ocean changes the color of the ocean. Seen or unseen is not the point. You just know it. One act of kindness, one act of goodness, one act of pausing changes everything. Don't wait till you can get it all right, because you're going to wait forever. You're never going to get there, because what's this world? It's with everything. So I'm going to tell you my funny story just so that we all know we're all human. So I come from a mafia lineage, and some of you know this and some of you don't know this, but I grew up in a Chicago Italian mafia family. Yeah, no joke. We have people in prison for bad things. And that's a part of my lineage. And there was also many, many important, good and wonderful things that came with and from that. One was a sense of protection and safety, right? Being a part of a community was actually quite striking. But one of my statements growing up was, and it's funny and not so funny, was, I'm going to kill you. It was funny. It was said humorously, I'm going to kill you, as I'm frustrated with this. But it wasn't that funny, because really, that one simple thought equaled a ton of separation, a ton of disconnect, a ton of you're my problem. If only I could get rid of you, if only I could bury you in the cornfield, then everything would be okay. Well, just the other day, my husband, it triggered me by having someone in our home who it turned out was exposed to active COVID person. And of course, everyone's human. That wasn't the problem. The problem for me, but it's not legitimate either, by the way, folks, I'm not trying to make the story, is that he watches me like a hawk, like, you have to wear the mask here, you have to get in the car, and then he has the friend come upstairs without the mask, who then turns out to have been exposed. And jokingly, but not so funny, I say to him, I could kill you, but the truth is, though I'm laughing, I see the truth in it. And I see I'm blaming you for my distress. I'm holding you accountable for my upset. I'm deciding that if only you somehow would have been different, that I would not be in this moment of fear or vulnerability. And I caught it in a way that, though I have seen it 1,000 times, and though I have used it laughingly and lovingly, I thought, you know what? I can't ever say that, because no matter how, with humor, the separation of it, the disconnecting of it, the truth of the separation is there, right? And so this is how we wake up. We often wake up right in the moment of suffering, right in the moment of the habit, right in the moment of getting it wrong. And I don't mean that as a right, wrong, all inclusive, right in the moment where we are not as skillful and we can see it and in that moment begin again. And I am grateful for those moments. I'm grateful for this mindfulness practice, and I am grateful for you to practice it with. But let's not be afraid of the mistakes or the errors or the right, because renunciation says, but then in this moment, maybe just the very next one, I can pause. The very next one, I can see clearly. The very next one, I can act more lovingly, more skillfully, and begin again and again, forever again, till the end of time. Thank you all. It's already 9 o'clock. Why don't we just sit for a moment? Thank you, Ryan, Jim. Thank you, Dennis, for your chat. I appreciate all of you and all of your contributions so much. We'll be practicing again Monday evening. We're going to start Monday evenings now, by the way, at 7:30, not 8 o'clock. It was feeling a little late. We're going to go to 7:30. I'll send out, we will be doing a newsletter this Sunday, so you'll get that in the newsletter. In addition, we're going to be talking more about sustaining members. We wrote a little bit about it in chat today. We'll have that conversation. We're also going to be really working hard together as a Sangha to create an outdoor meditation day or half day. We're shooting for November 21st. I want people just to begin to look at that time. That's the Saturday before Thanksgiving. We're not sure yet where or how we're going to do it, but our aspiration is to be practicing together, socially distant, masked up, whatever we need to do, outdoors. And I'm looking forward to that. So be watchful. Yeah, we need each other, don't we? And Zoom counts. It is something, but boy, don't we need the trees? Don't we need the earth? Don't we need the ground? And don't we need each other? We really do. So we're going to be really working hard to try to create something that we can all participate in. So let's sit together with that. And thank you for letting me know if you're in. It's something we do want some feedback about. Thank you. But for right now, let's see if we can't rest back in that open space. Come back to the body first, making contact with the feet, the hips, the uprightness of the upper body. Feeling the sense of the breath as it moves in and out of the body. Enjoying this moment of being alive and awake. Right here, we're practicing the pause. And in that infinite, very expansive and spacious moment of the pause, it's endless, by the way, and infinite, we begin to incline ourselves towards the good. And so rather than spin around about what I'm doing today, how am I going to do it? What if I don't have time? Gotta. We let go of that for a moment so that we make room and space for the heart that wishes for goodwill, that wishes for happiness, for ease and well-being. And we gather those wishes with the in-breath. We touch into our good heart, and with the out-breath, we send them out. This is a little mini version of Tonglen. Gathering the good, however, not the suffering. And on the out-breath, we send it out. And may we send out whatever is needed in whatever direction is best, and all directions if we're capable. May we remember these aspirations with these phrases of loving kindness and compassion. Breathing in, may we all be happy. Breathing out. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we all live with ease and well-being. May we remember our true nature, that of love, compassion, equanimity, and wisdom. And when we forget, may we pause long enough that we remember. And then begin again. Whole, connected, unified. Filled with love, compassion, equanimity, and wisdom. Small acts repeated often strengthen us. And may this practice today contribute. Contribute to my well-being, contribute to your well-being, which it has already done. You can see by the smile on our face. And contributing to the well-being of the world. May it be so this very day. So be it. Thank you all so much for being here. You bring a smile to me every time we're together. Thank you so much. Come on and say hi, wave, chat, hello. However we do it, it's all good. Good to see you all. Look forward to seeing you Monday at 7:30 if it works, Tuesday morning at 7, and Thursday 7 o'clock with Greg. And then we will be here next Saturday at 7:30. So we'll look forward to seeing you. Good to see you all. Have a good day, everyone.